I went from closing one, maybe two clients a week to five, six clients a week. Same offer, same me. The only thing that changed was how I reached out. I wasn't smarter, I didn't get better at sales overnight. I didn't have some secret script. I just stopped doing the thing that wasn't working and tried something stupidly simple instead. And I only found out by actually trying it, not by reading about it, not by watching a video like this one, but by putting myself out there and testing on real people who could say no to my face. So if you're stuck right now, doing the thing everyone tells you to, or how it's done, and it's just not working, stay with me. Comment below what you're currently doing to get clients because I guarantee some of you are about to relate to this hard. For a while, I was doing the way everyone says they're supposed to. Cold calling, cold emailing, the grind it out approach. You know what actually looks like a day to day? Dialing number after number, getting hung up on, getting the gatekeeper, getting we're not interested before you even finish your sentence. Also, sending emails into a void where maybe 1 out of 50 even gets open, let alone replied to. And the worst part wasn't even the rejection, it was the tone of it. Cold calls feel an interruption because they are one. You're calling someone in the middle of their day, uninvited, and they can hear it in your voice that you know it too. Cold emails feel even worse. They land in a folder full of 50 people order pitching the same exact thing and they get deleted just as fast. I was doing everything right by the book, and I was closing one client if I was lucky, two on a good week, and that was the ceiling. That's it. I just accepted that and figured that's what business was supposed to feel like, grinding out for scraps. Here's the part that actually matters. The change wasn't some big strategic pivot. I didn't hire a consultant. I didn't write a book about it. I just got tired of getting hung up on and I tried something different, almost out of frustration. Instead of calling, I started messaging people directly on WhatsApp. That's it. That's the whole pivot. Same people, basically the same pitch, just a completely different way of showing up in front of them. And here's why that small change is different. WhatsApp message doesn't interrupt anyone, it just sits there. They open it on their own time when they are actually in the headspace to read it, not when I happen to be dialing. It feels less like a sales pitch and more like a normal conversation because that's literally the app they use to talk to their friends, clients, and family. There's no gatekeeper to get past. There's no let me transfer you. It's just me talking directly to the person who actually makes the decision. I didn't even know if it would work. I genuinely thought it might be weirder, more intrusive even. The only way I found out was by trying it on real prospects and seeing what actually happened. Not guessing, not theorizing, just testing it out. And the results weren't subtle. There weren't a slight improvement I had to squint to notice. I went from one or two clients a week to five, six clients a week. Same effort, same time invested, completely different outcome. But the part that surprised me even more than the numbers was the feedback. Man, the conversations themselves felt different. People weren't defensive the way they were on cold calls. They weren't annoyed the way they were doing with cold emails. They were actually open. Sometimes they would reply within minutes, asking real questions, engage like a normal human, instead of just someone bracing for a pitch. Compare that to cold calling, where half of the battle is just getting someone not to hang up on you in the first 10 seconds, and also compare that to cold email, where you are praying it doesn't get buried under a 50 identical let's open a call type pitch. This wasn't a marginal upgrade, it was a completely different category of responses. And it cost me nothing to test, no ad spend, no new tool, no course. Just willingness to stop doing what wasn't working and try something uncomfortable instead. And here's what I actually wanted to take from this. Because this lesson isn't go DM people on WhatsApp, that's simply what worked for me, in my situation, in my offer. And the real lesson here is pivoting doesn't always have to be some dramatic company-wide burn-it-down reinvention. Sometimes pivoting is one small, almost embarrassingly simple change in how you show up. Perhaps you try out a different channel, a different opening line, a different time of the day. Something small enough that you almost don't take it serious until you actually test it and the results slap you in the face. I didn't know switching to WhatsApp would 3x my closing rate. Nobody could have told me that in advance. Not a mentor, not a course, not a YouTube video. I only found that out because I was willing to put myself out there and try it out on real people, knowing it might not work at all. That's the whole game. You don't think your way into the answer, you test your way into it. And most of the time, the test that actually moves the needle isn't some complicated strategy, it's something small you almost feel silly trying it out. And so, here's what I want you to actually take from this. Look at whatever you're doing right now to get clients, to get customers, getting attention, whatever you are doing, and whatever is your version of cold calling, Maybe it's literally cold calling. Maybe it's called DMs that sound like a script. Maybe it's an outreach method you are doing because you were told to. It's how it's done, not because you've actually tested it if it works for you. Pick one small thing to change this week, not a total overall, one variable. Perhaps you try out a different platform, a different style messaging. Perhaps you try to reach out to customers on a different time. Something you can test it in a single afternoon with zero budget. Then actually watch what happens. Not what you assume it will happen, what actually happens, the replies, the tone of the conversations, the close rate. That data is worth more than any advice you'll ever get from someone who isn't in your exact situation, and that includes me. You won't know if it's your WhatsApp moment until you try it. At least I didn't. And I spent way too long grinding on cold calls because I assumed that was just what the job felt like. Turns out the job wasn't the problem, the channel was. And you didn't find what works by thinking about it longer. You find it by putting yourself out there and testing, even when it feels small, even when it feels almost too simple to count. So drop it in the comments what you are actually going to test this week, and I want to see it. See you guys next week.